Hello and good evening, everyone. Welcome to Anime-Zing Radio here on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. I'm your host, Doug Engler. We're excited to be back having more fun with everybody tonight. Joining me, as always, in the co-host spot is our good friend, Mr. Darren Starling.
Yellow.
As you can tell, I am not at my normal location. I am on the road. But I was able to bring the laptop with me planning for this, so it's going to be fun. Do have a surprise a little bit later on. But I hope everybody's doing great tonight. We want to remind everybody that Anime-Zing Radio is brought to you tonight by Home Circle Media for the latest and greatest in anime gear, everything from pens, pencils, stationery, and officially licensed art books. Be sure to check out homecirclemedia.com today or look for them at an upcoming convention near you. We're also brought to you tonight by Triple S Lawn Care for the latest for all of your lawn care needs. Feel free to reach out to Triple S Lawn Care if you're in the Raleigh-Durham area, and Darren will be happy to hook you up with great work at a great price.
Yep. Fall is coming. Leaves are falling. So get on schedule now.
Angela will be joining us in a few moments. She said she's almost home. She's traveling home right now. So she will be joining us in just a little bit. Tonight we're going to be talking about some random stuff. Now we're probably going to bounce all over the board. I know some of the big news that has come down the wire. Freerun Season 2 has officially been announced. We all knew it was coming. I'm excited.
What do you think? I was definitely not surprised to hear it. But even though I didn't watch Freerun Season 1, maybe I can watch it before Season 2 airs. I don't know.
Hopefully. It was really good. I know that you enjoy the fantasy genre. And This was definitely fantasy, some romance in there. Not an isekai for once. May have had some similar tropes, but for once, not an isekai.
Is it still holding the #1 spot on Mal?
I'm not sure. If you see me looking at my phone, the distance that the computer is away from me, unfortunately, I can't see the chat, so I have the chat up on my phone. So anybody who joins us, I'll be able to say hello to and read your questions and comments in there. Things have been crazy for me this week. Definitely a lot of unexpected. But I'm happy that I've been able to join. I know I wasn't here last week when Angela, Darren, and AJ talked about Angela and AJ's travel plans on going to Japan. How did that show go, Darren? I didn't get a chance to tune in or listen to it.
It went fairly well. Covered many aspects, mainly how to go about traveling outside the country, what was required to, all the places to stop while in Japan, then also how to go about it. Probably the biggest thing, most interesting thing was whenever they travel, they're having to move from hotel to hotel to an extent. So it's a matter of talking about how they were going to pack stuff with them, what all they were going to take, what all they were going to try to come back with. That kind of deal, because unfortunately, in a situation like that, you have limited carrying capacity.
That's very true. I think that's something that a lot of us don't think about when we travel is, just how much stuff to take along, how long you're going to be away from home. Do you pack if you're going to be gone for a week, do you pack enough clothes to last you every day, or do you pack a few of your favorite things and then have to hit up a laundromat or figure out how to wash them throughout the time? I know when I was down in Georgia for training for 3 weeks, I brought a bunch of clothes with me, but I did use the hotel's washing machines a few times during those 3 weeks just to wash clothes and have clean stuff, because not everybody has enough clothes to last you a 3-week trip where every day you can wear a different pair of pants and undergarments and shirts and whatever.
Now remind me, did you stay at an extended stay place or did you stay at a standard hotel?
I stayed at a hotel. And it was a nice one. We didn't
just
have continental breakfast at the hotel I stayed at because we had a kitchen in the room. So I had like a full-sized fridge, a stove, microwave, dishwasher, plates,
and
cups, silverware, things like that.
and
And
you're sure
hello,
this
lunch.
wasn't and you're sure this wasn't like an extended stay place like Candlewood?
Oh, it might have been a Candlewood.
Yeah, because that's like an extended stay place. Because your typical hotel doesn't have like a kitchenette or anything. They more or less maybe have a microwave and whatnot,
Some of
unless
the
you're at
people
like a
that were
resort.
down there, though, did have to stay at like Holiday Inns and just normal hotels because of how many people were down there.
Okay, well, that could be wrong, but that just sounded more like an extended stay place because I know Bojangles put me up in an extended stay place when I helped open a new store about 9 years ago. Dang, I've been here too long.
And hello, Ross. Like I said before, if you see me looking at my phone, unfortunately, due to the distance that the laptop is away from where I'm sitting, I cannot see the chat very well. So I have to look at the phone so I can see everybody who comes in and when you have comments, just because the camera has to stay close to the laptop. And for the camera to be able to get me in screen, it had to be a certain distance away. I know the title is AZR Surprise. We do have a surprise coming a little bit later, but I'm not going to say what that is yet. And Ross asks, how have I been? I've been doing all right. Excuse me.
You've been a busy man.
I've been a busy man, working hard, trying to get a lot of stuff figured out, and, a lot of traveling. Not as much as Angela and AJ with them getting ready to go to
Other
Japan and
side of the world.
stuff. And I'm disappointed. I heard that nobody brought up Roberto when AJ was on the show last week.
Yep, we
Ross,
all
you
couldn't
dropped the
bring it
ball
up.
on that.
Yes, Ross, it's all your fault.
Julia wasn't around, so I have to blame you.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we're gonna have fun tonight. I know the summer season is wrapping up. Unfortunately, I don't have access to my laptop, so I can't go through all the shows and things like that. We had talked about maybe doing that tonight, but that'll probably be next Sunday's show. Um, when I'm know for sure I'm gonna be home and we can have fun looking back at the shows. I know Angela said she hasn't watched anything from the summer season. Darren and I have been busy watching a few different things. A lot of those shows have been wrapping up, including like VTuber and Wand and Sword, and there's some other shows that we've watched. 2.5 Dimensional Seduction, that's continuing on. I think that's a 24 or 26 episodes series. I don't remember. I know episode 13 just dropped recently, and that's actually might have been my favorite show of the summer season.
And which one were you talking about? VTuber?
No, the
Or
2.5 Dimensional
oh
Seduction. The one you
yes,
started and you
yes,
caught up on other stuff.
the one I started, and like most other things, got caught up with other stuff, and it got put on the back burner. I still watched some of it, but not all of it, and which is ironic because I was the one that perpetuated us to watch it in the first place.
That's usually what happens. You're like, you got to check this show out, and then you forget it.
Yep, and without spoiling too much, give us your take on it versus something like Dress Up Darling.
It really is. It's nothing like Dress Up Darling, and the fact of Dress Up Darling was about a guy who learns to make dolls and is kind of outcast by everybody, meets the queen of the school who's into cosplay and, you know, adult games and stuff of that nature. So it's like the odd couple. You've got like Miss Perfect Girl, who everybody adores, meets the guy who everybody kind of not pokes fun of, but he thinks everybody makes fun of him and is very socially awkward. whereas 2.5 Dimensional Seduction has main character who's addicted to a specific anime, is part of the manga club, adores this one show, has an underclassman who comes to the school because she sees his club room is decked out for this one specific character named Liliel, who she cosplays at. But she is a nerdy, quiet girl, has a hard time being in public, very socially awkward. So unlike being
Marin, who's the
yeah,
outgoing.
unlike Marin, who is the darling of the school, this is a girl who's like has maybe a handful of friends, has a hard time talking to people, and they work together. Where unlike in Dress Up Darling, where he makes her outfits because she can't sew, Rarisa makes her own outfits and does an amazing job. And then it shows like her going to the convention scene and meeting other cosplayers and getting tips and tricks and a bunch of different stuff. And we have a wild Angela sighting.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
How we doing?
Doing
Busy.
good. As you can tell, I am not home. I am on the road.
Are you in a hotel?
Kinda.
Kind of.
Yeah. We there's stuff going on that I took a little bit of traveling to clear the mind.
Ross is saying Free Run is getting a season 2, and yep, I've been seeing that all over my socials.
Yeah, and also I did hear about the Kana Dragon Maid movie. So that's exciting news about that. I know good stuff.
Lots of good stuff coming. Honestly, sometimes too much to keep track of. So thank you all for sharing everything.
Yeah, and keeping us on our toes.
Surprise.
Surprise, I'm at Darren's.
Ah, you got the time off and you went down there.
Yeah.
You did. And yes, I'm making a camera appearance for once. Hello, people.
In fact, we're planning it where Darren's actually going to be sitting beside me, which is why the camera's back where you can see the whole couch. So good news is he's already given me the figure for you, Ange.
All right.
And I have the figure for me. The crazy thing is, I didn't realize how big that box was for the Kuma Bear for Yuna figure. That box is taller than my backpack, the laptop bag. Oh my god, that figure is huge. It is by far going to be the tallest figure that we own.
Well, that'll be a fun setup.
Oh, it'll be definitely fun for sure. I'm excited, and I just got to figure out where to put it when I get home. Hello, Timothy. I hope you're having a wonderful weekend. And also, thoughts and prayers go out to all of those who were affected by the hurricane this past weekend. I know a lot of people are still displaced. I didn't know what I was going to run into coming down here on Friday or Saturday. I didn't know how bad like the area was going to be. It was more inland than where we're at here. So thankfully, not a lot of damage that I've seen. But I do know a lot of people were hit hard by that. So, and having lived through multiple hurricanes, I can, empathize with the people.
Agreed. On my socials, I've seen people on day 2 or 3 without power. So hopefully all is well.
Well, for the most part, it's without power.
its communication to the outside world is cut completely. Asheville, North Carolina is completely cut off. There's no entrance or exit out of the town outside of air support because all the roads leading out of town are washed out.
Oh, that's very not good. Hopefully everybody there is safe.
There was a rescue the other day on the hospital the roof of the hospital where they rescued 60 people, I think.
And Timothy in the chat says that it was a miracle, so close, but stayed offshore when it passed his location in north central Florida. So I'm glad that you're okay. I'm happy to see all these awesome people in the chat. I know I was gone last week because of work, and like I said, things happened this week. I was able to get a little bit of time off and come down and visit with Darren for the weekend. I will be back home for the show next Sunday.
Yay!
So familiar surroundings, and you'll have to have a closer look at my ugly mug. But the consolation this week is you get to see Darren on camera.
I know, right?
That never
All of y'all
happens.
wondering what I actually look like. I'm a human being, not just a avatar with a pen through my head.
This is our surprise. I'm at Darren's, and Darren is making the rare camera appearance. The only thing that would have made this even funner is if Angela just miraculously showed up.
Yeah, no kidding.
I cannot teleport in real life.
Still, you could have made plans with me and not told him.
I could have, but D&D game was today, so.
And how did the D&D game go?
Entertainment. We are playing a very silly campaign.
And hello, Mario. Great to see you.
Mario, good to see ya.
Like I said, if you see me looking away, because of how far the laptop is away from where we're sitting, the chat appears really, really small, so I have it up on the phone. So just as a reminder to all of you who's just tuning in, that's the reason that I kind of look beside, because I got the phone there so we can see what everybody's saying in the chat. And I thought, a fun topic for tonight, like I mentioned before, we threw around the idea of doing a summer review, but because I'm not right at the laptop, can't pull up the show lists and stuff like I normally do.
I mean, I can pull them up on here.
We'll do it. We can do it next week. Tonight might be more entertaining as a fun thing about anime tropes and why we like or hate certain tropes so much. I know that's a big topic of why Angela doesn't like isekai.
And
Too
why
many
Doug
tropes.
doesn't like shonen.
And why Darren doesn't like anything.
About to say, I take a look at everything. And also, did you see Ross calling me out here?
I did not see that.
You really
I
think
laughed
I'm
at that
Joey the
when
anime?
I
You
laughed
really
at
think
that
I'm
when
Joey the anime man?
That's funny.
Is it the hair?
It could be.
it could be actually.
And Ross also said that Grand Blue is getting a season 2.
Yep.
I've never even heard of that anime.
It's the swimming one. Wait, I look like him in the face, really?
I wouldn't have said so. I wouldn't have seen
Noticed
that,
it?
but now that he says that, I can kind of see it. A little bit, maybe.
A little bit. I mean, from the distance, probably.
Oh yeah, don't forget at some point we need to touch on what we found last night.
All right.
Oh yeah, Darren showed me the streaming site that he uses to watch his shows, and it has everything, including old cartoons and stuff of that nature. Not that we're the biggest supporters of pirate sites, but this site, like, it had the old like Danger Mouse cartoons from the 80s, all the different variations of the Ninja Turtles from late 80s, and then the 90s, or the 90s, early 90s stuff, the 2000s, the 20 teens.
Yep. Yeah, the Looney Tunes, even the original Popeye, almost. Stuff I grew up with as a kid on PBS.
That was a Dinosaur King.
Dinosaur King, which was on the Kids WB. But technically, they threw it under the anime category.
Yeah.
But Shaolin Showdown was another favorite.
It also had interspecies reviewers dubbed the first episode.
We found it.
So we had to watch it and see if we could pick out the voices. And we think one I know for sure, and a couple we kind of think we know, but not going to say for sure.
You realize we can look that up, right?
No, you cannot.
No, you cannot. There's only 2 voice actors or actresses that admitted they worked on that show. Funimation had that wiped from its existence. So unless they posted it on their Twitter that they were voicing X, Y, and Z, everything about that show has been deleted in regards to the dub.
Because we did a extensive search while watching that show last night to see if we could find an English dub list, and it's like, nah. We think we have a couple narrowed down. The only 2 that you can find any information being associated with are Matt Shipman and I forget the actress.
I know her name.
It's Matt Shipman and his wife. And those are the only 2 that we could find any association with because they posted about it on social media.
Well, all right.
But we did find it. You can still find that first episode, that elusive first episode English dubbed of a show that was dropped.
And practically banned.
Was it Laura Bailey?
No.
No.
Hold on.
And Ross in the chat says
Brittany Lotta.
Brittany Lotta, okay. So Brittany Lotta and Matt Shipman are the 2.
Bringing this to a more somber note, Ross says, who is a fan of Harry Potter? Because we lost a very well-renowned actress.
Yep.
So that's going to keep happening. A lot of the good ones are going to keep going as they're getting up in age, and it's just a sign of time marches on.
Yep. Don't forget that the guy that played Dumbledore in the first 2 seasons passed away before the 3rd movie could come out, and they replaced him with the Dumbledore we all know. And then thankfully they finished the series before Snape passed away, which was right after it finished?
I think so. Not long after.
I do not. I don't think they could have replaced Snape. I think Alan Rickman just did too good of a job there.
I agree.
But
no one's gonna replace Professor McGonagall either.
Agreed. Maggie Smith, that may very well have been one of her more recognizable recent roles, but she's been around forever.
Yeah. But as we've mentioned before, the summer season's wrapping up. The fall season's already put some shows out.
Yep.
And I know you had game day today. Did you have a chance to watch any of the new stuff that's
I
coming out
didn't.
yet? Or?
I didn't know anything dropped. I think all of the shows that were on my list were dropping this week or next. And because all of them had October start dates. However, I am caught up with My Hero Academia. We binged a bunch and then we decided to stay caught up with it.
Oh, I did the same thing with Slime. I am officially caught up on Slime.
I think I ended up what show did I end up binging to catch up on?
Wand and Sword?
No, not Wand and Sword. I think it was No Longer Allowed in Another World. I binged. I think I was like 4 episodes behind on that, and I binged that this week to catch up to that one. And that one's been interesting.
Apparently, Demon Lord Retry aired yesterday.
Yep, we watched it. It was kind of a recap of season 1.
With a little extra backstory that's making it more interesting, I guess you could say.
Yeah, it's giving it a different feel. And I don't know if it's because they added more backstory that's giving it a different feel, or if it's because it looks like it's a different studio doing the artwork. So the character designs it's kind of like the High School DxD effect, where you got so used to seeing characters a certain way, and then a different studio draws them. And even though it's the same basic concept, it's got that little bit of a different nuance where it's very noticeable. And it was kind of weird to see. It was also weird to watch it in Japanese because I watched the original Demon Lord retry in English. Hence how I found, a couple of the voice actors for the Bunny Girls, Hop and Bunny. I forget their actual names, but that's how I refer to them.
Lord, you just had to ask me. Hold on. The Bunny Girls' names?
Yeah.
And Wistoria is getting a season 2 as well.
No, there.
Darren Slime is getting season 4 in another movie.
Yep.
And according to my list, nothing that's on my list starts before the 4th. And I have a lot on my list that's starting late.
And the question is she going to be able to watch them or keep up with them?
At a certain point, I'm going to be 2 weeks behind.
Yeah.
Well, that's understandable.
Unless you watch them when they drop out there.
Yeah, watch them without subtitles. Great idea.
No.
That's the whole point of going to Japan, right?
Watch them with Ladybeard and have him translate everything.
There you go. I like his idea.
That's funny. I'm not gonna say anything.
Or if you run into Joey at his bar, or not Joey, if you run into Chris Broad at his bar. Well, you never know. Joey or Connor could be at Chris's bar.
Any or all of them could be, but
or not.
There's no guarantees any of them will be there.
Yeah.
Darren, question from Ross.
No, Ross.
Is your swag shirt Rias or Stella Vermilion?
Let me get a little closer and you tell me. And I might as well show you the back. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Yes. You tell me, Ross. Who do you think it is? Actually, what I should have done is getting the Kurumi one, because that way me and him could have been in matching shirts, because that's the one I got him when he came down to GalaxyCon last year.
So the last time that I visited Darren, is when I picked this shirt up. So the shirt's a year old. And of course, I'm wearing my Megamine shirt.
And if I were to put mine on, I'd have Kurumi.
She looks different, says Ross.
Well, it's funny. This is an imported shirt, and on the front we have the art from Studio Passione, and on the back we have the art from Studio T&K. So you have Rias in both forms on the shirt.
Which it's interesting to see how animes, you know, have changed even from season to season. The artwork differs. Even if it's from the same studio, the artwork can differ a little bit because the artists have gotten better with their skills, little subtle nuances, and things of that nature.
Oh, and you were correct. Demon Lord Retry's sequel is being done by a different studio.
I thought so.
This new studio is called Gecko Productions. Let's see, Grandma and Grandpa Grow Young Again is on there. One in Another World with My One Turn Kill Sister is one of them. Tenperu is one of them. One of the mob animes.
So Connor probably watched that one.
Oh my God.
Protocol Rain. And lastly, Isekai Onsen.
Timothy in the chat says, as I understand it, HBO Max is planning on rebooting the entire Harry Potter movies.
Why?
Because they were in
Because money, that's why.
Money. They want to milk the Harry Potter franchise more, and nobody can come up with anything original anymore. That's why you keep getting remakes of all the old stuff. Or let's do another superhero. Let's do another isekai. Let's do another shonen with the same story premise as 15 other isekai / shonen / insert genre here.
Or let's do this. Let's put anime. Let's pull a cartoon and put it into anime, aka Isekai Suicide Squad, or as we discovered last night,
Rick and Morty.
Rick and Morty have an anime.
That is still ongoing because the newest episode dropped today.
That one surprises me. I think Rick and Morty just, I didn't like it.
I'm not a fan of it either. So a little too out there. But then again, so are a bunch of shows.
For me, it was not my kind of humor.
I never really watched it. The only reason I knew of Pickle Rick was because my wife had drawn a Pickle Rick piece for Vermont Comic Con one year. And it was a very memorable con because we showed the piece to our friend Johnny C., who's been a guest on the show. Johnny is very boisterous, usually MCs conventions. And when he saw that, he grabbed his microphone, turned it on, and screamed over the PA system at the hotel, "It's Pickle Rick at the Casey Creations table. Come get your Pickle Rick picture now." Which then we were later told that somebody that was in a panel, that panelist was like kind of a heartfelt, not sob story, but kind of a sad personal experience, very serious, somber moment. And that gets screamed over the PA as they're trying to talk about this. You talk about a mood breaker.
Oh no.
We felt terrible, but man, what a memory to have.
No, I've seen like 2 episodes. It was just like it was not for me. I just know all the memes because most of my friends enough of my friends like the show.
And Ross says most of his shows won't start till about 3 days from now. but one starts tomorrow. And so anime tropes. What are the specific anime tropes, Angela, that kind of annoy you?
I mean, I suppose I could start by saying isekai as a whole.
Or you can say it, but we want to use this one philosophically.
I
And
know.
Yeah.
I kid. Just
Well, I could say the same thing about most shonens.
and that's fair. It's
You notice how we spend a lot of time picking on shonen and isekai, but we never say anything about like the romance genre or slice of life or things of that nature.
Yeah, that's all Ross.
well because a good romance doesn't
It's
have
hard to
it,
find nowadays.
and the good ones don't have the tropes.
Some still have the tropes, but the story is good enough to look past the tropes.
The biggest thing about romance anime in general is that the common trope is high school girl, high school guy, or middle school girl, middle school guy. Now, granted, they do a great job at that because, I mean, that's when kids are starting to want to form relationships in the first place. And generally, they can either go some of the best times of your life or it can be some of your worst nightmares. It all depends.
And I suppose with that those age groupings, for me, some of the awkward, the cringe-worthy awkward moments just kills it for me.
What do you define as cringeworthy?
Or like, for example,
Go ahead and say it.
no, I'm trying to
even if
find
it's
the
very
right words
difficult,
because
but-
like the whole, like the high school romance, like will they or won't they get together, beating around the bush, all of the awkward interactions. It's just, it's like, ugh, just get on with it.
Oh, the flip the table animes.
Just like kiss already.
Pretty much, like just like tell the person you like them and be done with it and let it go from there.
Well, the only thing I have to say to that is yes, it's a trope, but when you were that age, were you that direct? I mean, I know as we grow up, we want things more cut and clear, but if you were in their shoes, would you have been that direct at that age?
I was.
You were the exception.
Almost assuredly, and being and I was, and that gets complicated. But no, I ended up telling someone exactly how I felt, and that did not go well for me.
Well, I kind of did the same thing. I was telling Doug earlier today. I got chewed out for something I did that involved this person. And when I brought it to their attention, I did it in a way that kind of destroyed my friendship with them at the level we had. Never had any feelings for her, but we were best friends to an extent. And me and her were never that close again after that, which was fine.
I was the awkward kid through my school years to where I had a hard time even talking to people.
Same. Or most people would just label me as annoying because I would talk about crap that they weren't interested in. Or when I got into something, I would be a little too fixated on it, even if they were interested.
I'm still like that. If I get into something, I get fixated on it.
I think that's most nerds, but
I think that's what I'm excited about Freerun season 2 coming out because I really enjoyed the storyline. I love the characters. And it's a show I enjoy it for the show that it is, not because some shows we watch we enjoy because we like how certain characters look or act or something of that nature. Like I watch Freerun. I can't say that I've seen a waifu or best girl in Freerun. But I love the storyline. I love the concept behind it, and I like how the story has been going thus far. Hoping that season 2 continues it to be as good as season 1 was. Now, am I going to label it, best of all time? It's, as I've heard other people say, it's too early to tell. I know, Darren, you were asking if it was still tops on
My
MAL.
list. And I forgot to look when I had it pulled up. So give me 2 seconds.
And while you're pulling that,
And yes, Ross, I'm very aware of the fact that Dangers in My Heart got a second season. I am very excited for that because that was one of the best middle school romances since Takagi. And you know that it got a flash forward in the future with them.
And Nunya in the chat, going back to what we were talking about earlier, said, yes, and being direct didn't usually work out. Kids don't know how to sort their feelings. Which is true.
It's true.
agreed.
Unless you're Angel.
I'm extremely outspoken.
By a decent margin, too.
Wow. Freerun is still first on my anime list with a 9.33. FMA Brotherhood, 9.09. So a 0.24 difference. Freerun still leads.
Which is incredible because the ones behind FMA are only by 0.2 and 0.3, which would be Steins Gate and then Gintama. That's out of 902,000 votes, while FMA is out of 3.4 million.
Uh-huh.
And Ross in the chat, getting on with it, as it were. Ross in the chat says one trope he hates annoyingly is a female princess that's full of themselves and when they start laughing.
So any of the villainous shows, or I take that back.
Oh, no, I know the perfect laugh, and it's not Haruhi, but the one like female character that plays a big part in Oran.
Oh, I know which one you're talking about.
Her laugh. That right there is the laugh of I am snooty, stuck up princess.
Well, there was also Jessie from Team Rocket. She had her moments.
She did have her moments, but not as annoying as the other girl. I can't remember her name, but
and I think we've all seen plenty of anime, but they weren't significant enough of a pain or memorable enough to really remember. Because they weren't the main characters.
And there's certain tropes in anime that, like, you start watching a show and you can get a very quick feel of what kind of show it's going to be based off of anything. Okay, you're watching a school show. Okay, where do certain characters sit? Okay, this character is in the back of the class by the window, probably main character.
Or spiky hairdo.
Or
different color hair.
Or all of the above, because that did happen at one point.
Yeah, it's called Yugi.
I believe that was also, I could be mistaken, but I think that was also Windbreaker.
And then, you know, within close proximity, the seat either in front, diagonal, or beside is childhood friend or close female classmate. Whether or not love interest, hard to say, but you know, you could typical.
And then also one of the annoying tropes that I don't like, because unfortunately I generally end up falling for the main character versus the one that I actually like, is the childhood friend trope. The childhood friend always loses. Always. There are very few recorded shows where the childhood friend won.
The only one I can think of is Shuffle.
Yes, because he knew her longer than just about anybody except Kaide.
And then other shows where the childhood friend loses includes Infinite Stratos, Heaven's Lost Property.
The child Hoki didn't lose.
She didn't win.
True. True.
Granted, in the anime, he never actually made a choice, but
I'm trying to remember if the source material he did either. Sekirei, much the same. Girls Bravo, I think he ended up selecting. The childhood friend definitely lost in that one.
Yeah.
Heaven's Lost Property, I think childhood friend ended up losing.
Because he was more into Ikaros.
Yep. High School DxD. Irina was a childhood friend in this case, even though she technically does eventually win in the short run that we've seen in the anime. She is lost.
Granted, Sign of Affection, the childhood friend was kind of an asshole, as Ross and I discussed at great length. But the child, he got absolutely nowhere.
And Ross says that he hates it whenever the male character gets beat up for absolutely no reason because of an accident. AKA Rito Yuki in a nutshell.
AKA anytime that you see a show where the guy accidentally goes into the bathroom while a girl is changing and she beats his ass.
Or happens to trip and falls on top of her.
Or she falls on top of him and then beats him up because he caught her fall.
Exactly.
And she got embarrassed.
Or she walks in.
Why go see Angela doing that?
Or she walks in on him and then blames her. And then blames him.
The worst part is I'm poking fun at Angela, but because of the placement of the camera, I can't see her picture on the screen. So
I'm just ignoring it.
You're very good at that.
I'm aware that he's poking fun at me.
Would it be a show if we didn't?
No.
I mean, we poke fun at each other.
I mean, isn't that kind of the nature of our entire friendship?
Pretty much.
I mean, I have to say, who needs enemies when you have friends like this?
Exactly.
With me being here, Darren can't fall asleep.
Very true. And also, he brought up a very good point about last week's show. And Ross, this is your fault.
What did we do?
No Roberto. And we had Roberto on.
Yes.
I
purposely didn't and was going to wait for someone else to bring it up. And no one did.
I was expecting Ross to bring it up, or if Julia saw that he was going to be on, Julia to come in the chat and say something. Opportunity was missed.
Indeed. Just like me getting sick for a Pokemon special.
And Angela
And an
not feeling good for a convention special.
And an ill-timed migraine. But, you know, you win some, you lose some, and some turn into Star Trek, apparently.
Ross, it's your job to be the wild card by now. It's an unspoken rule.
As the I'm not allowed to be the wild card anymore.
And Ross, you're saying that you were being respectful the whole show. How is it when I'm not there, you're respectful. When I'm here, you have to try to derail me every time.
Because that's the nature of the beast.
Because derailment and trains go together.
Oh, shut
Darren, that was perfect.
Well, hey, I showed him this video earlier. This guy was on the news. He got a phone call from his wife that a train ran into his house. And he said, "Oh, don't worry. This is the second time this has happened."
Please tell me no one was in the house.
They were, but it didn't.
From the video, it looked like they crashed into the garage. So they're looking for a place to park the engine, you know?
And that he said that was the second time because the last time it happened was when his grandfather owned the house 50 years prior.
Well, all right.
So, yeah. And Ross says, because it's you, Doug. I've known you for years, and you're awesome. I thank you.
That's saying I don't know you at all, but even I can behave sometimes.
Hey, behaving badly is still behaving. Kind of like being, I'm in shape. Round is a shape.
That's not how that works.
Sure it is.
About to say, who determines that?
Excuse me.
Kind of like you grab a soda and say, I'm drinking soda flavored water. It's still water.
No, it is not.
It's all about how you word things.
It's flavored water. Mine just happens to be Mountain Dew flavored.
It happens to be carbonated.
And full of high fructose corn syrup and other crap.
I think my favorite ingredient in Mountain Dew is orange juice. Or did they? Oh, no, it's still there. Right. Concentrated orange juice. It's an actual ingredient in Mountain Dew.
Well, that would explain the acidity of it.
Yeah, that's why it's healthy. It's got orange juice.
Healthy is pushing it.
It's all about the wording.
Indeed.
I have to say, when it boils down to it, everything boils down to phrasing.
That is what language is all about.
I remember many, many years ago, there was a video. I forget which movie it was, but there was a guy that did a whole number on why don't parents teach their kids how to speak. It was a British guy, but it was an interesting tidbit on how the proper grammar and proper pronunciation of stuff and how different it was from what kids say.
Mm-hmm.
I forget which meme it was, but I'd seen a meme a while ago that said commas are important, and it showed a phrase that had two different meanings based on where you put the comma. I don't remember what the phrase was off the top of my head now.
Is it the Let's Eat Children one?
I don't think it was that. I don't think it was that one. I think the one I saw had profanity. But I for the life of me, I don't remember now.
And we've gone off the rails again.
Oh, that's normal.
I'm aware.
But were you surprised to see me at Darren's?
Yes, actually. All right. So Ross is keeping us back on track this time.
Ross, what happened to you? Who are you and what have you done with Ross?
How do we feel like themed episodes like the Christmas episode or the Valentine's Day or the beach episode
Or the Halloween episode?
Or the sick episode?
Tropey, but at the same time, there are different things associated with it. You never know what's going to happen.
If it's not too cliche, I actually really like the Christmas episodes.
I think each one of those is like case specific, and it has to fit the story. It has to. If it's just let's throw in a beach episode or a water park episode or a fan service episode for the sake of a fan service episode, I think it gets overdone. But if they're going to the beach and it actually pertains to the story, case in point, in Another World with My Smartphone goes to the beach. You get to see all the characters in bathing suits, but they're at the beach because the main character is searching for an underwater temple. So they're there for a specific reason, so it adds to the actual storyline as opposed to, let's just go to the beach, like so many shows out there. Let's just have a swimsuit episode or a bathing episode for the sake of, look, girls half naked.
Apparently, Ross is saying these themes aren't appearing as much lately. Like, for example, when was the last time you saw a sick nurse room episode?
Actually, Alia.
I was gonna say Alia just had one.
Yep. There are quite a few. Dangers in My Heart had one. Takagi had one. Nagatoro had one. I want to say Kaguya definitely had one.
Shows that you won't find stuff like that would probably be in the the shonen category. You probably won't find those type of episodes. Like, I'm sure Attack on Titan didn't have a sick episode. The 140 something episodes of Fairy Tail I watched didn't have it. I don't remember seeing one in.
No, that was all the time.
Well, that was just not to getting seasick from traveling.
Not to get seasick from traveling. Urza would be in various outfits, oblivious to, because she didn't care. Lucy would always end up losing her clothes somehow.
That's more of what's her name from Fire Force's shtick.
Oh, Tamaki?
Yeah. And from what I can remember, half the time of her losing her clothes in Fire Force, it didn't even make sense. It was like, why?
That was just her shtick.
And see, that's what bugs me. Like, fan service for the sake of fan service, where it does not add anything to the story.
Well, Data Live had one of those. Well, actually, for a while there, all the ecchi anime seemed to put one out around episode 7 or 8. Like, that was the benchmark. Enough to get the characters established to where we could get some eye candy out of it.
Ross, I would argue that's not true.
100 Girlfriends had the water park episode.
Oh yeah.
Ross, wasn't there an entire subplot with My Happy Marriage where one of them was basically sick, if you will, and the other had sat there and had to basically take care of them?
And I would almost say Alia is right up there in the romance because you can tell that there is sparks there. Alia is more of a love story than it seems like, and I'm surprised I've been enjoying it as much as I have. I think it was a well enough written story. Even Angela might like it if she had the time to give it a chance.
And we could also say that there was a few.
Ross, you're right, but you're wrong. Alia took care of him too. The maid tried to kick her out.
Yeah, Alia was there first, and then the maid showed up to finish the job. Because I just watched that episode before coming out here.
Yep. And then More Than a Married Couple But Not Lovers. That was another sick episode. And if I'm not mistaken, Science fell in love, and so we tried to prove it had one too. That's from season 1, though.
And going to...
but I will agree it's less frequent than it used to be.
Yeah. And Angela was talking about fan service for the sake of fan service as opposed to fan service because it's part of the story. I think one of the animes that did a good job with fan service because it fit into the story was Freezing. But during the fight scenes, you did get to see some fan service, but that's because they're fighting each other with swords, knives, different weaponry, which would tear clothing. And clothing getting torn, things are exposed. Therefore, the fan service in that felt like it fit into the combat. It wasn't the, oops, look, I walked into the bathroom while she was changing. A lot of the fan service in that show was during battle phases where you typically would see, clothing get a shirt torn because it got cut by a knife or a sword or a hammer with spikes or something of that nature.
And same with Ikitosen. Ikitosen started a lot of the whole blasting clothes off during a fight.
Senran Kagura was just ridiculous with the amount of fan service they put in that. Season 1 was okay. Season 2 was like really over the top. I will say that much. High School DxD, you say was just a pervert, and
I figured out a great way to make use of it in more ways than one.
In some cases, like High School DxD swings to both sides of the fence, where you see fan service for the sake of fan service, like episode 1, but you also see fan service as part of the storyline during battles where Issei learns an ability where he can make a girl lose her clothing just by touching her shoulder or something of that nature and using an incantation. So during battles against enemy families or whatever the case may be, he used that to strip the girls of their clothes to where they would no longer fight him.
Yep, they'd be too embarrassed to fight him, and he could pretty much take them out. Dirty, yes, but I mean that was part of the
all's fair in love and war.
Exactly. And then later on, you remembered the ability he developed in the 3rd season, right?
I believe so.
bilingual.
I think I'd have to go back and rewatch.
Well,
It's been a while.
in the English dub, it was dubbed booblingual because he would talk to the girl's breasts instead of.
Oh yeah. Okay, I remember that now.
And they would basically spill the beans on what they were trying to do.
I see Angela shaking her head above the camera screen.
Yep.
Yep. And also the other thing is in the religions, there also is, much to nobody's surprise, a god of breasts.
So
Yes, he does.
there is a god abreast of the situation.
He does make an appearance.
And see, that at least, okay.
Anime logic.
Yes, but considering there's shrines in some of the shrines that exist in Japan,
Yeah.
that at least, okay, it's ridiculous, but
Are you going to be there during that festival?
probably not.
I don't know when that specific festival is held.
I don't know.
But for those of you who don't know, there is an area of Japan that celebrates, like they have a festival. It's 3 different festivals in one, and it's basically to celebrate. Trying to think of the best way to word this that's still PC.
Various parts of the human body.
That is 100% why I didn't.
Yeah.
Let's
just say family reproduction stuff
and fertility.
Fertility.
Yeah,
That's the word I was looking for. Fertility.
All
aspects of fertility they celebrate.
And
yeah.
there are a couple of different YouTube videos I've seen about this.
I think Aki and Joey did one.
I believe that. I would definitely believe that.
I know Chris Pratt has mentioned it at one point or another, or mentioned its existence at one point or another.
I think Chris went to I think during a wacky weekend, Chris and Connor went to a museum that was based around male genitalia.
Surprise me.
I'm pretty confident they did. Thinking back, I've watched too many of those videos on YouTube.
Same.
I've watched absolutely zero.
I'll have to show you one of them then.
If you're gonna show him a wacky weekend, show him the Love Hotel one.
Which one? They go to Love Hotels a lot because they're cheap and
no, I don't want to spoil it.
Message it to me later.
I have to say, I've seen videos from TikTokers, Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube Shorts where these people will go to a love hotel, but a lot of times they'll say it's mostly for the rates.
Also, if you're going to Japan, I don't know if Angela and AJ touched on it last week or not, but if you're going to Japan and you do go to a love hotel, they frown on same-sex, like 2 guys who are there to share a room. They do not like that. So, like, if Darren and I had planned a trip out to Japan, and we decided to stay at one of these hotels because it was cheap.
Yeah, or we were short on funds.
Short on funds or something of that nature. There's a good chance that Darren would have to wear a wig.
I would have to crossplay involuntarily.
I would dress him up as Nico.
That being said, I have seen some Japanese content where they frown upon 2 men doing it, but apparently a group of girls doing it is fine.
Of course, because
Yeah, Japanese culture.
Well, it goes slightly beyond that.
Oh, I know.
Let's just leave it there for now.
Let's just leave it there.
And while not necessarily a trope, that really does tie into a lot of like what we all tend to forget is that a lot of the anime we watch, there's a lot of aspects of Japanese culture that Americans don't necessarily understand.
Yep. Especially the formalities.
Mm-hmm.
Like here, it all depends on where you go. If you try to say yes, ma'am, or no, ma'am around here, you will be just fine. But you go much further north. My boss, who is a former Northerner, she could not stand it.
Oh, I hate being called ma'am.
Sorry, ma'am.
Nope. I hate it. I understand that it's someone trying to be super polite.
It is a southern staple here.
I understand that.
Now I know what to do when I see you at PAX Unplugged.
Do
You
you
should
want
never.
do you want to get smacked?
You never know.
That would be a trope.
Yes, but you would deserve it.
Okay, but in your mind, he deserved it. But
He's
what
also
about innocent bystanders?
he's also instigating on purpose for the reaction.
Yet again, bystanders are not aware of that.
And Ross. Who are you, and what have you done with Ross?
Ross trying to get us back on topic again.
Yep.
Ross says, "I hate how long anime has been taking to do a proper love confession. Like usually the final episode or towards the end of the season, and we don't get a season 2."
Yep. But a lot of shows actually have been getting season 2s lately. And some of them are well deserved.
And some of them, why?
Agreed on both counts.
Like, I'll be the first one to say that shows like Kuma Bear did not need a season 2. But I'm glad they put out a season 2 because it actually enhanced the story.
Mob Psycho did not need a season 3, but it actually worked out really well.
Attack on Titan could have ended at season 3, and we probably would have been better off for it.
Well, your ratings definitely would have.
And let's not forget, there's another Attack on Titan spinoff / movie or something or other that's coming out.
Exactly, because they can't leave well enough alone.
And I called it. I will say that because I remember saying, "Oh, there's going to be another Attack on Titan something," and Andrew goes, "Nope, it's done. They're not doing anything else."
That was wishful thinking on my part.
Yep.
Good night, Roberto.
But no.
Would he get annoyed if I said "sir" to him?
I don't know. I highly doubt it. I think he'd just look at you funny.
Probably. He'd probably know I was being an ass.
Well, he's also the super chill one. I'm the one that reacts to everything.
So
yeah, like when I tell
you're the classic tsundere character.
Maybe.
The fact you didn't try to deny that is actually impressive.
That's me not knowing all of those memes tropes.
All that there is.
Yep.
I never bothered to look into it. I never bothered to care. I'm sure
Tsundere, yandere, kudere, dandere, himedere.
Wasn't there like a Doro Dere?
Dere.
I'm sure I fit in. I'm sure I could easily. I'm sure my persona on air can be fit into one of them.
And
I-
off air can be fitted into one of them.
Well, so
Whether or
long
not
as
they're the
she's
same is a different story.
So long as she's not a yandere. Even though those are the fun ones.
She might have a little bit of yandere in her.
Do you at least know that one?
I know the term, I don't know what it means.
Okay, you love someone so much you would actually hurt them or kill them.
No.
That's yandere.
Okay.
Tsundere is the classic girl that says, "It's not like I'm doing any of this for you, idiot." And then blushing as she says that. Do you know what would be a great show for you to discover all the deres with a single girl?
Oh, God.
False harem, Gigi harem. The girl is an actor. Her and the main male character meet in a drama club, and then she displays all these different personas for him. It's actually really well done. And why have 100 girlfriends when you can have one girl with 100 personalities?
Either way, it sounds exhausting.
Exactly.
Having one girl with one personality is exhausting.
I wouldn't know. Ross, I can hear what you're talking about. And I really think you would actually enjoy the Future Diary because it's similar to Darwin's game. It ultimately is a survival game.
Darwin's Game I never watched.
Which one did you watch?
See, I have a bunch of shit on my list.
No, I mean, which game did you actually? Which one did you? Which survival game show did you actually watch at least recently? I feel like you watched something.
In terms of anime,
Yes.
I don't. Give me
Squid Game?
titles. No, I did not watch Squid Game.
I'm trying to remember the title.
Vending machine.
Shut up.
There's her response. Darren's laughing now too. I got him going.
And then Ross.
Yamada level 999. I didn't watch that one.
Neither did I.
I didn't watch Batum either. I did watch the other one he's referencing.
I
The Future Diary.
Well, Yuki.
No,
Yes.
I don't know.
Technically, Yubel could fall into this category too from Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. Apparently, the English version made her more of a sadist than she actually was in the Japanese version.
I don't know.
Among Us.
What does
Give
that
it
have
time.
to do with
Give it
anything?
time. There'll be I could see an Among Us anime or something coming out.
I'm
Granted, it'd be sus, but that's besides the point.
I mean, they made an emoji movie for crying out loud, so you know.
And don't forget Pixel. You had Pac-Man and a bunch of other video games.
I mean, that was just Ready Player One.
They had like the Sonic movies and
Right. Speaking of, Ross says, "What anime do you think needs a modern reboot?"
Modern? And how long ago are we talking?
Let's see, a modern reboot on an anime. I would be curious if they like redid Rosario Vampire to actually follow the storyline in the manga, unlike what we got, which was all over the place. I'm curious as to how different of a feel it would have if it actually followed the source material. And I'm also curious if and I know this will never, ever, ever happen, but could you imagine a modern spin on ghost stories and how terrible that would be? If they had to make everything PC.
Oh, you mean Shimoneta?
Oh, Shimoneta.
They tried to make everything PC.
Yeah, that was just funny.
I mean, early 2000s anime, I feel like one that could get a modern remake. Honestly, I'd be curious to see what they would do with Asmangadio.
What about something like Tenchi Muyo? Because that was a decent anime for back in the time.
For a slice of life, I really enjoyed Asmangadio. It was the dub specifically I didn't enjoy because of one specific casting choice.
Ross says, "My bride is a mermaid," or Mabaraho,
Or Magicano.
or Magicano.
I mean, excuse me.
There's a lot of older shows that'd be interesting to see how they would look if they were brought back.
Another one, a modern reboot. I'm not sure you could, but Serial Experiments Lane.
What about a reboot of? Because you and I were talking about this last night, Darren. What about Soul Eater?
No, they already tried that. Now, granted, it would be nice to see them take the manga ending, but they tried the spinoff, and that did not go well at all. It was honestly terrible, and I feel bad for Medusa's sister, considering she was introduced in that.
What are you doing?
Trying to hit the light switch.
It's warm. He's turning the fan on.
Yeah, I got a sweatshirt on. He has a t-shirt.
Fair.
And we're down in North Carolina where it was like almost 90 today.
Granted, it's only 58 here, according to my phone.
Is it still raining up that way?
Nope, it was not raining at all today.
It is 74 here right now.
I know back in Pennsylvania, it started raining last Monday, and we're not supposed to see the sun again until Thursday, based on the forecast for when I left to come down here. And it wasn't until I got past Maryland before I saw sun for the first time. So around Virginia is when I first saw the sun.
Yep,
in like a week.
Because we had the hurricane just clear out any moisture we had around here.
And Ross says there's a 2-episode OVA from 2001 that he think could have a modern reboot called Tattoo Masters that he found on YouTube. Never heard of it.
How about a reboot of Kiss X Sis?
Ha! I would be down for that.
Oh, I'm not going to say it, but a show popped into mind.
Setaka Yako Indamo?
No. The sigh from Angela, she makes me believe she knew. I know it, or she knows what show.
No, I think I just figured it out too.
If really you're going there, Doug, really?
Yeah,
I didn't say it.
I didn't either.
Yes, but no.
Maybe they could make it good.
Yeah, don't ask for miracles.
I doubt it.
I don't know if they could make it much worse.
Yeah, they could have. The last one could have been the first one.
Just no.
That might have made it better. Maybe they could have just stopped with the last one being the first one.
Yeah, then it could have probably got the show canceled.
How about Hayate the
Then they
combat
would have named
butler?
it Beast Tamer.
Says Ross.
Not I'd say interspecies.
Yeah.
Hayate the combat butler. Never heard of it.
That's an old one.
I've never heard of that one either.
I have.
But going back to the tropes question that Ross had, I know we touched on like the Christmas scenes and the beach scenes. What were some of the other scenes that he had?
The
listed?
sick scenes.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
talked about
We
the
did.
sick.
The house visits, of course.
Did
Probably one of the most stereotypical ones is it starts off the girl or guy forgets their umbrella. They offer to walk home with said guy or girl. Halfway along the way, they didn't make the decision, or once they get where they're going, they're like, "Hey, screw it. Can I come home? My clothes got wet. Can I dry my clothes off?" And then a lot of times things will either get awkward or the parents will end up walking in or some family member.
Yeah, you got that. Another one that you don't see, like I haven't seen it as much in recent anime, but there was a time when you saw a lot of this, was the festival episode. But, dressing up in the yarmulkes and going to the festivals and
Yukatas.
the yukatas. Sorry, dressing up in the yukatas, going to the festival. Oh, we got to go see the fireworks show, and
We saw that in Dress Up Darling.
but Dress Up Darling came out 2 years ago.
Yeah, that's still recent.
We've seen about 200, I think 200 plus anime have come out since then. Which makes it feel like it's been even longer than 2 years because of how much stuff comes out now.
Also fair.
Which also leads to, the topic that we've touched on many times is how oversaturated is the anime market with them just putting out stuff for the sake of putting out stuff, not putting out quality, but putting out quantity.
And that is a thing there's so much,
we bitched about that many times.
Yes, to the point where I didn't actually watch anything this summer because very little stood out to me in the first place, to the point where I just got so busy that we said, fuck it. And didn't bother to actually watch any of the new content, just binged a large chunk of the current season of My Hero. And Darren's falling asleep.
Are you falling asleep, Darren?
Somewhat. You gotta remember.
Sit up.
I'm tired.
I know you're tired. We only got 30 minutes.
Did Darren go to work? Did you go to work today?
Of course.
Yeah.
I work every day.
Darren didn't get out of there till after 3. He was there
Till
early
4,
this morning.
Till 4 something. I'm not falling asleep, but I am kind of disappearing over here.
Fair.
We'll say he's not surrounded by his waifus, so it'd be tough for him to actually fall asleep.
Because Doug hardly counts as a waifu.
Oh, I'm definitely not a waifu. I wouldn't even consider myself a waifu when I was dressed up as Kobayashi.
Nope.
Which surprisingly, when we had the Smash or Trash, everybody said Smash when it came to Kobayashi. I think we surprised a lot of people with that. You remember that, Darren?
Oh yeah.
When like everybody on the board was like, Miss Kobayashi, I'd Smash. But I think in her case, it was more because of her personality, not because of her looks.
That was a show that just didn't grab me. I tried.
Did you ever watch the first episode of season 2 of that? When when Lulu was brought in?
No.
That would be a show like if we got to meet Christy again. I would suggest watching just that first episode because of the epic fight scene between Toru and Lulu, and then you can see Christy do some amazing voice acting.
Christy was just fantastic.
Oh yeah.
She was so much fun. And then okay, Ross, last topic. If you could bring any item from the anime world that's not here in reality to the real world, what item would that be? Any item from any anime.
Darren would want bunny girls. Right, Darren? I think we are losing him.
I know we are.
Darren.
And he says for him it's Issei's alarm
If
clock.
you could bring anything from the anime world into our world that's not here already, what would you bring?
A girlfriend.
I said you'd bring a bunny girl. Bunny girl senpai?
Yeah, or one that happens to be a quiet nerd.
Ross says for him it would be Issei's alarm clock.
I wanted to throw that alarm clock out the window.
None of your business says item box.
Item box would be an interesting one.
Oh wait, you could just call me Kazuma, because I pick the girl, aka in his case Aqua.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know what I would want to bring from the anime world to this world.
Would it become an invasive species, or would it be contained in one area?
Because Ross just says item. Any item from the anime world. So I don't know if a bunny girl would be considered an item. That would be more considered a species.
Person.
A person. What about the ability to actually use magic and cast spells? Have an affinity for, water magic or electrical magic, light magic, earth, fire, wind. I think that would. I think that would bring this world into chaos, but at the same point in time, I think it'd be kind of neat.
It's the end of the world as we know it.
And I feel fine.
Mm-hmm.
I love how they use that as the opening for Independence Day. Oh my God, a movie I've actually seen.
I kind of want to go back and rewatch that movie.
I watched Independence Day with my buddy Ben on July 4th in New York City. And you talk about an experience when you're in this movie theater and you're watching a movie about, aliens attacking. on July 4th, and the first city they attack is New York City, and you're in the city in a theater watching this happen, and the whole theater goes,
I just remember seeing that with my dad. But
None of your business says the item box is a game-breaking cheat. Put a furnished house in it, and hey, you're set for any situation.
and Ross just made me feel old again. He's too young to have seen Independence Day.
And for us, it doesn't take much to make us feel old.
No, it doesn't.
Granted, I'm older than you are,
Not by that much.
but it doesn't take much for us to feel old. All we have to do is go to a convention nowadays and see these young kids that are cosplaying, and when you talk to them about their cosplay, and they're like, "Oh, I've been cosplaying for 10, 12 years," and they're only like 18, 20, 22, and you're like, "Oh my God, no."
Yep.
Like at CC, I talked to a cosplayer who told me that she'd been cosplaying for about 15 years and she was 23. And I'm like, oh my God, I feel so old. The cosplay looked amazing, but it's like, it makes you just feel old. It's like, what am I doing wrong?
A substitute for Independence Day is Miss Congeniality. And that's one I've never seen.
I've never seen that one either.
I know of it.
When I used to watch movies a lot was way back in the day of like Burt Reynolds movies, which I know some people nowadays have never even heard of Burt Reynolds.
When I was in high school into college, I used to go to the movies a lot. That was a very long time ago. And even then, I mean, we talk about tropes in anime, but let's be honest, the tropes exist beyond anime. It's all of visual media, if you will.
Yeah, because you see it in TV shows, you see it in movies, you see it in sitcoms and reality TV.
And right now we're on another string of disaster movies.
Mm-hmm.
And Ross says, Burt Reynolds, all dogs go to heaven.
Yeah, but when I think of Burt Reynolds, I think of Smokey and the Bandit. I think of Cannonball Run. I think of Stroker Race.
And hello, John. Glad you could make it at all.
Yes, hello, John. Thank you for joining us. We just lost Darren. He's fallen asleep. No, you're not seeing things. I am at Darren's house. That was the big surprise tonight is I got some time off from work and decided to come down and visit Darren for many reasons, including to pick up the figures that he got for me and Angela.
I hate it.
And Ross says, welcome, John. I got your back tonight. I'll let them know all about the announcements.
And thank you all. I've got that song stuck in my head now. Grr.
Which song?
End of the World as We Know It.
That's Darren's fault. But the one thing Ross did not get, John, and if you have them, are all the birthdays from this week.
Speaking of which, I haven't seen him tonight.
He just came in. He was at church.
Oh.
He said he just got back from church. But we're glad to see you. Glad that you were able to come in. I said things are a little bit different tonight because I am at Darren's house this weekend. I will be back home and on the air for the show next week. So more fun and excitement to be had next week. I also am working on a voice acting guest to join us towards the end of the year. Once I have things finalized, I will let everybody know more.
Ross, that is where you are wrong. I have seen Legally Blonde. Legally Blonde was a fun movie.
I have not seen Legally Blonde.
And he got it both wrong. I know Doug has seen, but Angela has not. He's got that.
I think you meant to say Angela has seen, but Doug has not, because I remember us talking about this before. So I think you might have switched.
I think you might be right, but no, Legally Blonde is a fun movie. The sequel was okay.
Now I've seen White Chicks.
And I have not seen that.
That was funny.
Comedies I'm picky about.
Now let's think back to an anime we all enjoyed, since we were talking about tropes, and how many different tropes appeared in this particular show, Fury. You had the Christmas episode.
The Christmas episode was adorable, though.
It was adorable.
You also had the Halloween episode.
Yeah.
Because Sally got too scared to do a specific thing, and Maple went and got the item for her.
Yeah. They kind of sort of had oh no, they didn't really have a beach episode. They did have the episode where Sally went swimming around fishing while Maple just sat on the side. But neither of them wore like bathing suits or anything. So
Fury did not have a fan service episode.
Yeah, they did not have a fan service episode.
The closest would have been what's her name's one of what's her name's new costumes. That was where she got embarrassed with how revealing it was, but I'd hardly call that fan service.
Yeah, but Fury did not have the fan service episode. It did not have the sick episode.
Well, because in and of itself, you could argue that it had all the video game tropes.
But it did have a different trope that you don't see very often of the I can't do XYZ because I need to finish schoolwork.
And
you do see that from time to time in like high school romances or things of that nature.
Or school show, or even school-based shonen.
Yeah.
But no, Fury definitely did have, and so did Sword Art to a certain extent. They didn't have the classic tropes that the classic anime tropes, but they had some classic video game tropes.
And there have been some decent anime that's based around like the video game stuff.
Oh.
Sword Art Online.
Angela was just talking about that one.
Overlord.
Recovery of an MMO junkie was pretty good for a video game based one. Demon Lord Retry is video game based.
But there's definitely certain video game tropes that Fury definitely had.
Ross is talking smack and you woke up, Darren. You might want to read his comment.
That was amusing.
Well, Ross, I'm never actually asleep. The only time you will see me asleep is if I start snoring, and I don't snore.
He's just relaxing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we only got about 15 minutes left on the show, which is crazy. Tonight has gone by really quick.
All right.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Oh yeah.
Agreed.
And if anyone has dictates this is fun, needs to have their definition of fun reevaluated.
I'm having a good time. I always enjoy doing this.
I meant if you were just a whatchamacallit, a viewer.
Oh, we try to keep it fun for them.
Oh God. I'm going to ignore Ross's comment because with give or take 15 minutes left, we don't need to go there.
Yeah.
And
John Knight says, is anyone going to watch Uzumaki anime? It's on Max.
I just saw an ad for it earlier today. The answer is maybe. I
You said
know
you were going to watch
absolutely.
it, Darren?
Oh yes.
Which one is that one?
Sorry, my mind just went blank. Which show did you say?
Uzumaki?
Oh no, my bad. I thought you were talking about Uzaki. I'm like, wait, let me double check here. I plan to watch.
Oh.
I might watch it. I don't know yet.
The answer is it's based on a manga series written and illustrated by Junji Ito.
I vaguely remember that show. I don't ever watched it, but I am familiar with it.
Well, they're it debuts apparently episode 1 dropped yesterday and episode 2 is dropping on the 5th. But there's
And Ross in the chat says, oh, Angela, the trailer for My Happy Marriage Season 2 aired this week. It's coming in January on Netflix.
Yep, I'm excited. That was one show I absolutely adored. And I don't know if you're going to call it romance or not, but another one I'm really hoping gets a season 2 is Apothecary Diaries.
That would make sense.
I think it is getting a season 2.
Apothecary?
Yes, Ross. Yes, Ross, I give you credit for that one.
Ross likes to take credit when he recommends us shows and we actually enjoy it.
Mm-hmm, but yet you can't tell him hardly anything.
Well, to be fair, I believe part of that was 100% out of spite because I refused to watch Vending Machine.
I would laugh if Angela finally broke down, watched Vending Machine, and actually enjoyed it.
I thought we were going to say Conception.
I know she'll never watch it, but if she actually watched it, I would laugh if she enjoyed it. It shouldn't have been as good as it is. And I know it's getting a second season. Don't know when, but I know it's getting a second season.
A well-written romance story is so good, Ross.
We haven't had one of those in a while.
I disagree. Darren, did you actually ever start or finish Signs of Affection?
Nope.
You should. That was a very well written. That was so well done. That's another one I hope gets a season 2.
I did introduce Darren to the VTuber anime the first episode, so I could see just how unhinged that was. And in typical Darren response, because some of the words were edited or like silenced out. He wants to see it in Japanese with the subtitles to see if they actually put the words in their entirety or if they're censored there as well.
That's a fair response.
To which I said they are censored there as well, because I watch it in its entirety in Japanese and have rewatched a lot of it with my wife in English. It's a very off the wall show.
Worth the drive?
But I don't regret watching it. There are some shows you watch and you're like, why did I watch that one? I think that's one of the reasons I dropped the Deer anime. It's because I'm like, this is just too ridiculous. And then you showed me that like meme clip of her antler. But
that would be the one.
John Knight says, Darren, I like your face.
Well, thank you. I have to say, I was given a face only a mother could love.
Well, John likes it too. So now you got two. And like we said earlier, it's a rare appearance of Darren on camera.
Yep.
At some point, we might get him to stop buying Ford pickups and actually get a setup for a show. And not just for show, a setup that he could use for bookkeeping, for business, and things of that nature as well.
Yep. Well, thankfully, I do use my setup for business, so everything I currently do is tax deductible. Thank God.
But let's see, we got about 8 minutes left on the show here, and it's been a fun night. We've been all over the place, as we typically do.
Yep.
Classic pinball game.
So, since I wasn't here last week, I'm curious to hear an abbreviated version of what you talked about for your Japan travel.
It was, again, kind of all over the place, but pretty much we went through the whole things to know before you leave, some of the planning that went in, some of the highlights of what we're doing, and just some of the cultural do's and don'ts.
And one thing that Darren had mentioned that he was surprised at was when you talked about, figuring out what to pack and how much to bring because of traveling to different locations and having to, pack to be able to travel.
Yep.
Speaking of which, did you ever decide on how many suitcases you were taking and what kind of bag you were taking?
Right now it looks like we're each bringing a carry-on size suitcase plus a backpack. And then we're going to get a cheap larger suitcase when we're there to basically check for the flight home.
And that's where all the goodies that you buy goes.
Yep.
I said, don't spend all your money and be trapped in Japan for a bit.
Our flight tickets home have already been purchased.
Yeah, so they've already got their round trip tickets. The only thing they have to worry about is Mother Nature. Make sure that she's behaving.
That's for miracles.
Can you believe it's been a year since Free Run was released?
Has it been a year?
That's what John Knight says.
Oh my.
My goodness. Actually, that makes sense. Yeah, I think Free Run started fall last year
And
because Anime Boston was around the time that Free Run was ending, season 1, and that's when you surprised me with the figures.
yep.
Which I can see you coming back from Japan and being like, here's some Free Run stuff. It would not surprise me.
I would.
I know
That
you'd
is a
be
thing.
behind.
That is a thing I would do. Ross also says that there is a possibility that Sign of Affection is going to get a season 2 since the manga now has 11 volumes.
And John Knight has eaten food from Wawa. Wawa is a very common store in Pennsylvania. They're everywhere.
And that makes it actually makes me sad that they closed the ones close to the convention center. The Philly Convention Center.
Is all that's around there now Sheets?
No, there's no convenience store other than a shitty 7-Eleven.
7-Eleven is from what I've been hearing, is trying to bring over a lot of Japanese snacks and stuff.
Well, yes, but no, they're basically the area near the convention center. There's no cheap eats. Ross, it's like a convenience store with a good food.
Yeah, Wawa is a convenience store where you can order food and they will make it there. So,
Have you been to a Sheetz or a Cumberland Farms?
well, even Cumberland Farms doesn't really like make food to order right then and there, unless that's changed since I moved from Mass.
The one near us does a little bit to order, not much. It's kind of crap, but
at a Wawa, you can get like a small little personal pan pizza. You can get subs. You can get wraps. You can get tacos. You can get shakes or
Thanksgiving dinner in a sub roll.
Yeah.
Or granted, that might just be the time the timing when we were down in Philly, because it's usually the convention's usually between Thanksgiving and Christmas. But on that note,
it's just about time to say good night to everybody. We want to thank all of you amazing people for tuning in tonight. Thank you to John Knight, Ross, of course, Mario was in there, and
Timothy, Nunya.
Thank you to everybody who's tuned in and joined us tonight.
One last thing. Before we go, a convenience store anime joke. What is a VTuber legend's favorite gas station?
Uh-oh.
I agreed. Uh-oh.
I don't know.
Okay, Ross, that was good. I'm not going to say that out loud.
Okay. Yeah.
That is a good bit to call it on.
And having actually watched VTuber Legend, I get the joke even more. Angela, if you want a full understanding of the joke, just watch episode 1.
I'm
not asking for the whole show. I'm like,
that was
episode
enough. I get the joke. Enough. Thank you, Ross, for always being entertaining.
Yes.
And with that,
I'll probably ask you to hit the end show button, since I would have to get right up next to the camera to do it. I'm sure people don't want to.
Right. Well, on that note, good night, everybody. We'll see you next week.
We'll be here next week for more Anime-Zing Radio on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Have a great night, all.
Good night.